Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Allah, the originator and creator of the heavens and the earth. Allah, the giver of life. Allah, the ultimate cause of death. Allah, the revealer of all truth and the sender of all the prophets and messengers, from Abraham to Moses to Jesus to Muhammad. Peace be upon these worthy servants. I thank Allah for His intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Ava Muhammad, and for raising up from among us His messenger Messiah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and for giving to us today a divine leader, teacher, guide, and warner in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet all of you, my dear brothers, sisters, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. My dear and beloved family, brothers and sisters, first, we want to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for yet another monumental message from last Sunday. Whenever he speaks, and it's over 2 hours or nearly 3, he's giving us a meal that would last for many, many days, even weeks, because you have to go back into his message and parse the words and reflect upon what God is telling us through this brother. We, of course, are deeply, deeply saddened upon hearing the news of the death of Louis Jr., the eldest son of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Mother Khadija Farrakhan. I ask all of us to lift the family in prayer. Louis was a beautiful, beautiful man. That was my older brother. "60 years of age, young, and all that knew Louis. He would light up any room. He had a great sense of humor. Always would say something that would just crack you up. But he was so brilliant, a very highly intelligent man, very kind, compassionate, warm, generous, always would lend a hand, always helpful, would always go the extra step, the extra mile. So we lost a beautiful son, brother, soldier, friend, comrade in the struggle. He loved the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the nation of Islam, and without saying, loved his father. So we ask Allah to strengthen the family, to comfort the family, and we ask that we lift the Farrakhan family up in prayer, especially his 5 children, Safia Farrakhan, Khadija Farrakhan, Mariam, Khaliday, and Louis III. May Allah be pleased. Life is not guaranteed. We're here one moment, but the next moment we could be gone. That's why it's so important for us to resolve to live our life the way God would have us to live the life, and to treat others as you want to be treated, because you never know when the evil accident of time comes. And death is going to come to all of us sooner or later. We can't escape it. But doing right by one another, doing good by one another, it saves us the grief that comes when a loved one or a friend or an acquaintance is no longer here, and you are reminded of how you treated that person, how you mistreated that person. So the golden rule of life is to treat others as you want to be treated. So again, we ask that Allah comfort the family, enter them into His peace. I am very happy and delighted today, in spite of the heavy and bad news that we've received, to have back at this rostrum a great, great helper of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, one of the greatest and certainly the most public figure we have as a female representative of the nation of Islam, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I am delighted that she is back at this rostrum. She is the national spokesperson for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. She is just a great defender of her brother, of Islam, and the cause of Allah. And it is a pleasure for me to introduce and present to you once again Student Minister Ava Muhammad. Please help me to receive her with a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah for coming to the black man and woman in America in the person of Master Ava Muhammad. We thank him for raising one from among us, the one we now know to be the promised Messiah, the predicted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We are eternally grateful to them both for their divine love and mercy upon us, giving us a living witness to their power. They are unseen, but they are not unreal. They are living, and they are exercising power. They have given us a bearer of good news, a warner, an inviter to Allah by His permission, and as a light-giving son, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet all my beloved brothers and sisters in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. To the national representative of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister Louis Farrakhan, and to the First Lady of the Nation of Islam, Mother Khadija Farrakhan, and to the entire Farrakhan family, I wish to say before I speak this morning, on behalf of my family, I want to say to you that your eldest son, Louis Farrakhan Jr., was a brother and friend to us not only as a fellow member of the believing community, but as a personal friend. Brother Minister Ishmael just said everything about Brother Lewis that is so descriptive of him that I was going to say, and I'm 100 with you, Brother Minister Ishmael. My husband and I are godparents to those exquisite children, and of course the baby, Wakil, graduating from high school. I've carried all of them on one side or the other as they grew from infancy to become beautiful young adults. And my daughter Sherelle was very, very close to Brother Lewis. She had a special relationship and often sought guidance both from her Uncle Lewis and her Uncle Joshua. We loved his brilliance, his sharp humor, and this ability to see into the future a world coming in that many people just cannot envision. Very advanced, not only spiritually, but scientifically, in the ability to foresee things could be done so much better than they're being done. He had that capability. And I stand here grateful to Allah that my family and I were able to spend time with him just the weekend of the 6th of May. In Phoenix, I was honored to have been invited to a banquet for some of our wonderful pioneers of the Nation of Islam. And Brother Lewis attended that banquet, and then the next day, about a dozen believers, we all went to Grand Canyon. And if you want to be awestruck and awe-inspired of the power and greatness of the original man, you have to go see the Grand Canyon. But we had the time of our lives, and I am eternally grateful for that. My talk this morning will not be long. It is entitled A Light-Giving Sun, the Presence of Farrakhan. And I want to read briefly from the Holy Quran, chapter 33, which is entitled The Allies. Now, that chapter of the Holy Quran was revealed at a time when the powerful and combined forces of the external enemies and the internal enemies threatened to crush the Muslims. And in this chapter, in Arabic surah, in this surah, Allah gives a revelation that it's critical in this hour, Muslims, that you are to no way be compliant to your deadly enemies. In that same surah, Allah talks to the prophet, and he tells the prophet, don't be troubled by your critics. For basically, no matter what action or course of action you take, they're going to put their mouths on you. So don't be troubled by them, but have trust in me and me alone. Salah to the prophet. The allies whose name this chapter is after, this was a confederation of idol-worshiping tribes and the Jews. And they had decided that they had had enough of the Muslims. And they were planning to exterminate the Muslims altogether. They were putting together an army 10 times the size of the Muslim force at Medina. Yet, the forces employed to crush Islam were rendered completely ineffective with the help of Allah, and that paved the way for the Muslims to attain the greatness that Allah had promised them. Now, in this chapter, Allah also refutes false propaganda that Islam was being spread by violence, by use of the sword, when in fact Islam was spreading in spite of the use of the sword against its followers. And Allah defends his servant against false propaganda that was being spread about Prophet Muhammad, who was being defamed as a voluptuary because of his divinely ordained domestic life. Beloved, if we pay careful attention, we see that these events and circumstances line up almost perfectly with what is happening right now, today, in America and around the world. But the central battle is being fought by the Nation of Islam against the rebels against the will of Allah. I want to, before I go further, share with you something that many of you may already know, but many of you may not. That if you're wondering about this book, the Holy Quran, that the Muslims follow as our holy book, we believe, in fact, we're certain that it is directly from Allah. It is not in third person. This is Allah, the creator of the heavens and earth, the originator, speaking, both to his messengers and to the people that he raises his messengers and prophets among. One of the ways that I want to share with you this morning to give you evidence that this book can't be from anyone but Allah is the number of scientific discoveries that were revealed in this book 1,400 years ago in the desert to a man who could not read and write. This book reads in the 3rd chapter, "Behold, in the creation of the heavens and of the earth, and in the alternation of night and day, there are indeed signs for men of understanding." And before I list those, some of those, because we could be here all morning, I'm just going to give you about 10 or 11 of profound scientific facts that were only discovered by Caucasian scientists recently. But listen to the words of the Quran, just these brief verses for this morning. This is chapter 33, the allies that I'm basing this message on. "O you who believe, remember Allah with much remembrance, and glorify him morning and evening. He it is who sends blessings on you, and so do his angels, that he may bring you forth out of darkness into light. And he is ever merciful to the believers. Their salutation on the day they meet him will be peace, and he has prepared for them an honorable reward. O prophet, surely we have sent thee as a witness and a bearer of good news and a warner, and as an inviter to Allah by his permission, and as a light-giving sun, and give the believers the good news that they will have great grace from Allah, and obey not the disbelievers and the hypocrites, and disregard their annoying talk, and rely on Allah, and Allah is enough as having charge of affairs. O you who believe, you who believe. This message is not for the disbeliever or the hypocrite, but is telling the believer how to deal with the disbeliever and the hypocrite. All praise is due to Allah. So let's just talk about some scientific facts unknown to human beings in this cycle of history. I want to make that plain. This 6,000-year cycle of history. At the time the Holy Quran was revealed and only discovered many centuries later by Western science. Number one, the Holy Quran reveals that the sun, moon, earth, and all other planets are in rotation and revolution. Before the revelation of the Quran, people believed that, and especially for a long time, European philosophers and scientists believed the earth stands still in the center of the universe, and that every other celestial body, including the sun, rotate around the earth. After that, they changed that belief system and they thought the sun is stationary. It doesn't move, and it sits there and the earth rotates around it. Neither of these are true. Here is what the Holy Quran reads. This is one of many verses referring to the planets and the stars. He it is who created the night and the day, and the sun and the moon, all float in orbit. So this verse mentions an essential fact that was only discovered in modern astronomy, and that is the existence of individual orbits of the sun and the moon, and that they journey through space in their own motion. The Holy Quran also reads, the sun moves on to its destination. Well, the sun travels and carries with it the entire solar system, and it has been given a name to this fixed place where the sun travels. They call it in Western science the solar apex. And the whole solar system, that is the sun, its entourage of planets and stars, move toward a point, and they have, with their instruments, only in recent time been able to locate what they call a point in the constellation of Hercules, the Alpha layer, and that the moon rotates around its axis during the same duration. Secondly, it is in the Holy Quran that it is revealed that the atom can be actually split into something smaller. 34:3. Not an atom's weight escapes him in the heavens or the earth, nor is there less than that, nor greater, but all is in a clear book. In recent times, modern science has discovered that it is possible to split the atom. 14 centuries ago, this was unknown and unreal. And what this verse tells us of is Allah has knowledge of all things, hidden or apparent. It goes further. He calls himself the knowing, the aware. He's aware of everything, including things that are even smaller than an atom. That is what is revealed in the Holy Quran. Another revelation, that when the woman is carrying life in the womb, and all human beings are created in the womb of the female, that when that life is being carried, that life is protected by 3 layers of darkness. He creates you, the Holy Quran reads, in the wombs of your mothers, creation after creation in triple darkness. These layers of protection were unknown 1400 years ago. And now the Caucasian scientists are so proud of themselves. They have discovered this. You know, they give high regard and give out awards to people for discovering things, but give no respect to he who created that which they are discovering. And that's why you can't follow them. So in the fetus, in the womb, there are 3 layers of protection. The abdominal wall of the mother, then the uterine wall, and then the amniochorionic membrane. 1400 years ago, to an illiterate people in the desert, Allah reveals this miracle. Another revelation, I love this one. Between the 2 seas, the oceans, to show you Allah's incredible power, He has created an unseen barrier between bodies of water, so that when they meet, they never touch or mix with one another. Separation is not hate. Separation is the creative process by which each of Allah's creation are able to be themselves. All praise is due to Allah. He has made the 2 seas flow freely. They meet, and between them is a barrier they cannot pass. And He it is who has made the 2 seas flow freely, one sweet, very sweet, the other saltish and bitter. And between the 2, He has made a barrier and an inviolable obstruction. When you look at the Mississippi River where it meets the Gulf of Mexico, they both stop, bam, on a dime. The barrier that's there is unseen to us with the human eye. And at the time of the revelation of the Holy Quran, that was true of the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. However, we didn't put that up because the Caucasian went in and they made the Suez Canal. And then they connected Africa with the so-called Middle East. By the way, there is no such thing in reality as the Middle East. That's Africa. And Africa is not Africa. Africa is East Asia. Just a side note. But if Allah can tell the ocean where to stop, then He can take care of anything in your and my life. Another one, the universe is expanding. That was revealed in the Holy Quran. And the heaven, we created with might. and indeed we are its expander. That was not known until 1925 to the white man, when an American astronomer by the name of Edwin Hubble, they named the Hubble telescope after him, provided observational evidence that the universe is expanding. And now it's an established scientific fact. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, good for you. Another one, the planet Earth is comprised of 7 layers. That was not known before the revelation of the Holy Quran. It is Allah who created the 7 heavens and of the earth the same number. The command descending down through all of them so that you might know that Allah has power over all things and that Allah encompasses all things in His knowledge. So earth consists of 7 stratas. The first layer is water, the second layer is land, the third is called the asthenosphere, the fourth layer is the upper mantle, the fifth layer is the inner mantle, the sixth is the outer core, and the seventh is the inner core. This is the power of Allah. He also revealed in the Holy Quran that the frontal cerebrum of the brain is where motivation is formed, and from there is where we tell truth or tell lies. In his first revelation, Surah 96, he raises the question, knows he not that Allah sees? If he desists not, we will seize him by the forelock, a lying, sinful forelock. The Arabic word meaning frontal cerebrum. Now here's another one. I'm almost done with these. These are so fascinating. Now here's one that you'll love. Do you know where iron comes from? And there's a surah or chapter named iron, okay? Do you know where it comes? I know where I thought it came from before I studied this. Iron does not come from earth. Iron comes from outer space. Now listen to the 57th chapter named Iron. Certainly, we sent our messengers with clear arguments and sent down with them the book and the measure, that men may conduct themselves with equity. And we sent down iron, wherein there is great violence and advantages to men, and that Allah may know who helps him and his messengers unseen. Surely Allah is strong, mighty. Now, a few days ago, astronomical findings have disclosed his brain weighs less than yours. We're not haters, we just tell the truth. Talking about the white man. Astronomical findings, they are proud to announce, have disclosed that the iron found in our world came from giant stars in outer space. Not only the iron that's on Earth, but the iron anywhere in this solar system comes from outer space. The temperature of the sun, as powerful as it is not hot enough for the formation of iron. The sun has a temperature, surface temperature, of 6 6,000 degrees Celsius. Now, you know, when it's 98, we're like, oh man, 98. 6,000 degrees, of course, this is Celsius, and a core temperature, ready for this? 20 million degrees. 20 million degrees at its core. Iron still requires more heat than that. So it can only be produced by stars that are larger than the sun. Now, they're not life-giving stars, but this is what they do. They get hot, and the temperature is several 100 million degrees on some of these stars. When the amount of iron reaches a certain level in one of these stars, the star can't accommodate it anymore, and it explodes in what is called a nova or supernova, and the iron is then shot out into space and comes here to earth for you and I to make use of. That is the greatness of Allah. Okay, I think I got just about three or four more. Here's another one, praise be to Allah. Preservation of the body of Pharaoh, Ramses II. If you don't know nothing else, I know you saw the 10 Commandments. And you know Pharaoh acted out. Pharaoh in real life thought he was a god. He thought he was the God. And when Moses was sent to him, he just lost it. He went off, his mind derailed, and he tried to kill the children of Israel. And let's read from the Holy Quran. Here's Allah. Pharaoh and his host. See, these rebels against Allah, the wicked, they always got people with them. And that's what Allah's warning us. Don't be one of those. Okay? Pharaoh and his host followed them for oppression and tyranny until when drowning overtook him. Now he's drowning now. He said, this is Pharaoh talking, I believe there is no God but Allah, He in whom the children of Israel believe, and I am of those who submit. Allah said, what? You know he's black. You know Allah is black. Allah said, what? That's in the Quran. Now? And indeed, before this, did you disobey, and you were of the mischief makers. But this day will save your body, that you will save you in your body, that you may be a sign to those after you. And surely most people are heedless of our signs. So now the mummified body of Pharaoh is on display in the museum in Egypt, so people from around the world can walk by, wow, and take that as a sign. That is the power of Allah. Modern day, praise be to Allah, told him 1,400 years ago. And this was a revelation, I'm sorry, it didn't happen 1,400 years ago. It happened in the time of Moses, but it's revealed 1,400 years ago. Now, modern day space exploration, and if you listen to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's monumental series, Theology of Time, he frequently makes reference to the white man's efforts to go out in space, and he chides white people. Number one, you'll only see what my God is going to let you see. And this effort you're making to try to go out there and colonize and live somewhere else, forget about it. It will never happen. He tells them that. He said he'll let you, and this was before they were really going out there. They had only gone as far as the moon at that time. Now they have sent probes as far as Pluto, but he told them, you need to pump your brakes, essentially. Because Allah is only going to let you see what he wants you to see, and the more you see, the closer you are to your end. Because like Pharaoh, you are going to go down, bear witness, there is no God but Allah. And Muhammad is his messenger. So in the 55th surah, Allah, the Beneficent, he says, O assembly of jinn and men, if you are able to pass through the regions of the heavens and earth, then pass through. You cannot pass through but with authority. So in other words, when I allow you to see it, you'll see it. And then number 11, and there are two more, this one. Mountains on the earth have very, very deep roots. Most mountains have roots that go further down in the earth than that mountain goes up above the earth. We have been taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, by Minister Farrakhan consistently, that the mountains were placed there here on the earth by explosives, by our fathers, to stabilize the planet, because the planet is not a round sphere. It has a wobble in it. And so to balance that wobble, mountains were placed. But they're not placed on the earth, they are in the earth. 1400 years ago. And he has cast firm mountains in the earth, lest it quake with you, and the rivers and the roads that you may go aright. Have we not made the earth an expanse, a resting place, and the mountains as pegs? So this is so as this planet is traveling, rotating on its axis and making revolution around the sun, you and I would be shaken like this if there were not these mountains. And then lastly, there are internal waves deep in the sea and in the oceans where it is so dark, beloved, you can't even see your hand stretched out in front of your face. And those who disbelieve, their deeds are like darkness in the deep sea. There covers him a wave, above which is a wave, above which is a cloud. Layers of darkness, one above another. When he holds out his hand, he is almost unable to see it. And to whom Allah gives not light, he has no light. Now, science has only recently, Western science, Caucasian science, has only recently discovered this darkness by means of special equipment. They did not know how deep the oceans were before. Because when you go down in the ocean around a depth of 200 meters and below, there is almost no light. And that's what he said, almost unable. Then you go deeper than that, and he said, to whom Allah gives not light, he has no light. When you go down, beloved, to 1,000 meters in the ocean, there is no light at all. A human being cannot dive more than 40 meters without being in a submarine or having special equipment. We cannot even survive at a depth of 200 meters. Now, we have to understand these sentences where he says, in a deep sea, covered by waves, above which are waves, above which are clouds. The deep waters of the sea and ocean are covered by waves, and then above those are other waves. Now we know about the second set because that's what we see when we look out on the ocean. Because above them, he said, are clouds, meaning the sky. But what about those first waves? They are the ones that cover the deep waters of the seas and ocean, and they have a higher density. They break like surface waves, but you can't even see them with the human eye. And you know that constantly the Holy Quran says, and it says it right off in the second surah or chapter, that this book is for those who believe in the unseen. Unseen is not unreal. Now, before I go to the heart of today's message, I told you I would not be long. I got a question to ask you to kind of break us from that overwhelming power. How many of you saw the Black Panther film? Okay, maybe I should have asked, how many times did you go? Why did you love that film so much? Do we really realize why we fell in love and why that movie resonated with the whole black world and a lot of people in the white world? It gave you a visual experience. And I want to talk now about Allah aiding his servant and the fact that nothing escapes Allah's service. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan has said to us over and over from his teacher, Islam is everything. People ask you, what is Islam? It's everything. Sun, moon, and stars. You cannot escape Islam, and nothing escapes Allah's service. Now, that movie brought to the surface what is in your DNA and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad already awakened in you, but you've been fighting to go back to sleep. But the light of Minister Farrakhan won't let you go to sleep. You can't sleep when the sun is out. Satan has made us, and Brother Minister Ishmael, he said earlier, when the minister delivers a message, you can listen and you should listen, but after that, don't think you got it. Because just like the sun has layers, he has layers. He has a surface temperature that's hot, but his core temperature is unsurvivable. Except by Allah's permission. Trust and believe. You're not getting past this light-giving sun. He named his lecture Exposure of the Synagogue of Satan. Because that's what the sun does. It exposes everything. You can't go out like that. That's what's said to us in the day. But at night, you can come out, you know, that's when the insects and reptiles are crawling around. They all run under the rock when the sun comes out. But Satan has made us so we don't want nothing but what Satan wants us to have. And everything he wants us to have is what makes us reject our Creator and his creation. We don't read. Our parents died to read. They lost their lives fighting to be able to read. We don't read, and we definitely don't read what is truth. Oh, I Googled it. I'm going to tell you what it is. I saw it on Facebook, girl. I know it happened. It was on Instagram. You understand what I'm saying? But not only do we not read what is true, we've gotten so bad, we don't want to listen to what's true. So that film, which was a perfect storm of brilliance, talent, black folks coming together, it showed us a peek of the divine truth that black people, when living among ourselves, without the interference of Allah's enemy, can live in peace. And hello, we can self-govern. Because Negro slaves don't believe we can self-govern. I got to stay with master. What we gonna do if we by ourselves? Childish Gambino in the song says, stay woke. Honorable Elijah Muhammad woke you up. Minister Farrakhan is keeping you up. Because this indeed is the final call. We have been awakened by the coming of Allah and the work of his messenger right in our midst. Now we are the recipients of his highest attribute, the gift of mercy, in Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is working day and night to keep you awake until you can regain awareness and begin your return to your original self, your own self, which is a righteous Muslim. Well, if I don't want to be no Muslim, I want to have fun. If you don't want to be no Muslim, you don't want to live in Wakanda. You don't want a world where black people live in luxury and possess the highest level of technology and have our genetic preference for the company of our own kind satisfied. You want to stay in a world where you get arrested for sitting in a coffee shop, where funky white women call the police because you're asleep in the dormitory where you go to school, where you fell asleep studying. Can't no nigga be at Yale. You want to live in a world where you get shot 20 times in your grandmother's yard? Or you're driving with your woman and your child in the back, and you get shot in the face and chest because you're taking out your driver's license? That's the world you want to live in? Because you don't want to be no Muslim. This is a world where the black man's presence is a crime. It's a crime to be black in America. But you don't want to be no Muslim. You live, and I live, among some grafted species that was made by one of our scientists for the express purpose of rebelling against Allah. But he did a tremendous service because he discovered the root of the cause of our rebellion. We loved Black Panther, but we don't even know the real reason we loved it, some of us. Yes, the women were stunning. The men were ultra fine. They were intellectually powerful, physically powerful. all shades of rich chocolate. They wore fabulous clothes, and they were highly civilized. But you know what was just as impressive as what you saw? Is what you did not see. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes, no profanity. Somebody dropped a word or two, but the filthy language was not woven into their functional vocabulary like it is woven into yours in America. No obesity. I don't even recall them sitting down to a big meal like every black movie that comes out has. No raunchy sex scenes. Think about it. The source of their problem in that movie was the source of your and my problem. Dr. Yaqub's made man, the Caucasian. Nobody had street names and nicknames, Two Gun and Spill the Blood and all. They had original names. You love that movie because, and they're just at the initial stage of what the hereafter is like. Our problem is we have lost, even those of us who say we follow Islam and we're awake to being a Muslim, where is the goal of the hereafter? If you have the goal of the hereafter, you are thinking about separation, sleeping on separation, eating separation, drinking separation, talking about separation, and moving toward separation from the children of our slave masters, the enemy of Allah. Weren't you impressed? Yeah, you were, because you never stopped talking about it. With the all-female security detail of T'Challa, that was fictionalized. This is fact. Let's show fact. Hello. Huh? This is fact. This is a reality. Wake up, black people, we're right here. Oh, yes. You were impressed with the discipline of the Wakandan army and the people of Wakanda. They knew how to protect their country, right? That was fictionalized. Fictionalized means based in fact, but things are added. But let's look at fact. With discipline and protection. That's reality. We're right here. Accept your own and be yourself. This is who you are, black man. God, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. We're right here in America. Right now. Were you impressed with the superior technology of Wakanda? People feel that was fictionalized, but I think we got some facts that we can share. Now the white man knows. The white man knows that the mother plane was built by scientists for the express purpose under the direction of Master Farrakhan Muhammad for the express purpose of the destruction of America. I don't want to be here. I want to be in a designated, identifiable territory with that sun, moon, and stars flying above, so that the pilots on the plane can say, oh, that's our brothers. Now, if you want to mix and mingle and hang out with Heather, okay, you go ahead. You will recall that Wakanda disguised itself as a third world, what they call a third world country. You look at the little nation of Islam like a third world country. Yeah, you can be very demeaning. I'm on WVON, and I get the calls, which y'all ain't doing that. What's the nation doing? You tell me, you in the nation, what are you doing? The nation is 40 to 60 million black people who are the descendants of slaves in America, and Minister Farrakhan is the leader of all of them, registered and unregistered. So are you a soldier or are you AWOL? Because you in the nation. See, you look at us through the eyes of the grafted people who cannot. I just gave you from this book where Allah told them 1400 years ago. He revealed to the people in the Arabian desert. But you think white people accept this? No, they don't. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan just told you about the two types of Jews. The wicked Jews are so arrogant, they rejected Allah's revelation through Moses and wrote their own book. God don't know what he's talking about. I'm a freak. I'm a predator. I'm a rapist. I'm a dog. So I'm going to write rules that permit me to be that. See, when we worship white people, and let me calm down, it's Ramadan. When you worship white people, you think their world is advanced, when in reality, their world is backward. It has been revealed to us that God came here to the ghettos, the colonies of America, more precisely to the black bottom section of Detroit, Michigan, undercover. He came to fulfill a promise to Abraham that's in the Bible. Elijah Muhammad, the one God raised in the 3.5 years he was among us, the one God taught himself, the one God made like unto himself, Elijah Muhammad, who labored among black people 44 years, and who is alive. You can take it or let it alone. If you can wait for Jesus for 2,000 years, we can wait a few years for Elijah. But though he's absent, he really is present. He did not leave here before he made one from that FOI class like unto himself, who has labored and continues to labor among us for 40 years without his teachers, 62.5 years of teaching in the nation of Islam. Came through the FOI class, brothers, a soldier in the ranks. And now he has fully exposed Satan to us all. Now that could be good news or bad news, that Satan's been exposed fully. You got to go back. You got to start with the Holy Day of Atonement, October of 2017. Then you have to parse, and we've been going through this in our study course. You must go through the press conference, November 16th, 2017 in Washington, D.C. at the Watergate Hotel. Then Savior's Day, February 25th, and then last Sunday, May 27th. If you want to survive, I'm so serious. I'm talking to me too. So the exposure of Satan, I mean, in the Bible, that's the end of everything, right? When Satan is laid bare, he's known. So now, and there's only two promises out there, as one of my fellow ministers says, there ain't but two promises out there, God's and Satan's. And this book tells you that on that day, Satan, the devil's going to say to you, I had no one, because both of y'all going to get called front and center, you and him, for your execution. And he's going to turn and you're going to look at him, well, help me out, Satan. He's going to say, well, hey, man, I don't have any authority over you, never did. I was playing, you know. I only called you and you came, man. I can't help myself. How can I help you? I can't do it. And how does he come? He comes through our personal desires, which we are studying in a course that Minister Farrakhan gave us. He's like the sun, always giving facets of light, life, and heat. And he breaks down to you how Satan comes at you through your personal desires. The minister raised a question recently in a group of us, I think it was when the research team was together and the executive council at a meeting. He said, do you ever think about, remember when Jesus was up on the mountaintop with Satan? And Satan said, man, I'll give you all this. All of this will be under you. You just have to obey me. And Jesus said, get thee behind me, Satan. So the minister raised the question, why did he go up there with Satan? And why would you even go up there with him? Because he didn't know it was Satan until he made the proposition. So when Satan rolls up on you or slides next to you, you'll think he's just like everybody else. But you won't know who he is until he shows you who he is by coming at you with a proposition that will fulfill your personal desire but condemn you to hell, right? And we are held by Allah to what we know or what we should have known. The truth has been spoken. We have access to it. So going forward, if we choose to remain with Satan, if we choose to follow his way of life, then we do that consciously and deliberately and knowingly. I just want to share with you briefly some words from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad from the Theology of Time. And I think this was October the 29th of 1972. And he is talking to the people right in this mosque. Right there. And that just kind of gives me shivers thinking about that he was in here saying these words. He said, and I'm just lifting some of it. He's talking to black people. He says, you can take white out of black, but you cannot take black out of white. This makes you be the first. Regardless to what people say, you are the first because we can't make this color from white. No, sir. It has been experimented many times by the enemy to see if he can lay claim for us or if he can be equal as first, but he can't do it. It is impossible. And here's where I'm going to get to where I was talking about earlier about space travel. He said, Allah opened up the heavens, as the Holy Quran teaches you, to let him go up there and peep in, then bring him down to the bottom of hell, because he's not able to stay up there. He's not able to stay nowhere, only where Allah permits him to stay. Then Allah takes him away at will. Anytime he wills, he takes him away. Yeah, the white man goes to the moon. But what is the moon? It's our moon. He didn't make nothing up there on that moon. We made it. So let him go and peep at it. Now, this is 72. Now he's making instruments to look at the civilization on Mars. Well, when he sees what's on Mars, he won't see a mark of his. It's our Mars, our people. So God has taught me, and he didn't know, the white man, that they were there until a few days ago. He used to look at Mars and call it a star. And that's all. See, these are the people you're trying to follow. Some people who we sent over, we put them out of Mecca, sent them to the hills and cave sides of Europe. They barked at the moon. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said they were in the caves, they couldn't even make history. How can you make history living like a dog? Musa, who you know as Moses, one of our prophets, had to go get them and teach them some of Islam and teach them some of the technology that they had learned from Dr. Yaqub but forgotten. But here, back to Mars. He says, our fathers made it. Now, he said of the people on Mars, I'm saying this to kind of throw this morning little shock waves in the brain so we can think about more than the game tonight. Even though, don't let me leave here, I have to say something about my man J.R. Smith before I leave this podium. Because there's teaching, there's a sign in it. Okay. Islam is everything. Okay. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the people on Mars are not aliens. You know how they show in Independence Day in these movies, these reptile. And my husband always says, Brother Darius says, why is it that the equipment is designed for humans and something with tentacles is flying the ship? Yeah, but Will Smith just jumps in the ship and start, yeah, let's go. Come on. Because they're human. They're not these things that they're making you believe. But he says the people on Mars show signs of civilization. They look similar to us, but not exactly. They do walk on 2 feet, and they're not white folks. We find no planet, this is Honorable Elijah Muhammad, no planet with a super civilization over us. The Mars people have civilization, but it's not equal with ours. They're not our equal. But they are superior in trying to live a long time over us. This is because we've got so much sense, we're crazy. And then he said, that's right. You gotta listen to the tape. He said, that's right. He said, we know too much. Always experimenting to know more, learn more. These people on Mars, nature has taught them to be satisfied with what they have been given by God called nature. They live so God taught me in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad 1,200 of our earth years. We sit around thinking we're living to get 50. That's right. We just lived to get 50 years old and think we lived a long time, exhausting the power of our thinking brain before ever we get in the world good. Too fast. Having so much knowledge, we exhaust our knowledge of seeking and testing what we have arrived at before we ever learn the higher places of wisdom and understanding. We are exhausting ourselves, racing with each other. So, my beloved brothers and sisters, I don't want you to think I'm here this afternoon to exhaust your patience with what I am after, what I'm trying to do for you, to get knowledge in your head that you have never had. That's Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, all praise is due to Allah. And I think that's wonderful instruction because we know a lot. But knowledge is not wisdom. I don't even think we have knowledge. We just have a lot of information. And like he says, we run with it. Can't wait to drop it on somebody. Now, closing, Prophet Muhammad of Arabia lived before there was an America. There was no America, remember that at that time. No United States. There was no kidnapping and enslavement of black people from East Asia, which white people named Africa. Right now, in real time, 2018, this is our reality. Our Savior has come. The book is called Our Savior Has Arrived. He has raised up the exalted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Right now, we have been given by those two a manifestation of Allah's love and mercy and his favor on us in Minister Farrakhan. Now, when I was looking through the Quran, and in Ramadan, you really get to immerse yourself in the greatness, the power, the beauty of the Creator, and also his genius. But you know how the Holy Quran is always speaking of the seven heavens, seven, the other planets, and then the earth would make 8, right? So I'm sitting there saying, well, that's 8 planets, where's Pluto? And then I was knocked on the head with the teachings in my mind, like, duh. The existence of the 9th planet had not been made known. Allah did not reveal it at that time. The 9th planet was not revealed until Master Farrakhan Muhammad came in 1930. That planet, Pluto, is so distant in outer space it can't be seen without the aid of a very powerful telescope. Now, I don't find it coincidental, and we're taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad there are no coincidences. Isn't it interesting that the grafted man just demoted Pluto from planetary status? How do you, who barely got out of the caves on one planet, decide what other bodies are planets and assign status? But is it that it is us, black folks, who Pluto is a sign of, that he's erasing in his mind from his reality? But Pluto is a sign of us because Pluto, 4,600,000,000 miles from the sun, can't be seen without a very powerful telescope, and yet the rays of the sun, the light and heat of the sun, reach Pluto. So the power of Master Farrakhan Muhammad is so all-encompassing, it could reach even a people who were so deep in sleep that they were characterized as dead. And this is why that planet could not be made known until God came. We're still in the Holy Quran. So there are things that are not in this book, is what I'm saying, what I'm about to say, in terms of application to you and I. And you have to read this book from your position in real time. Like the minister said last week about the man in Arabia that was telling him to eat with his hands because Prophet Muhammad ate with his hands. And the minister told him, you know, Prophet Muhammad rode a camel and you pulled up here in a Mercedes Benz. So don't talk to me about what Prophet Muhammad did in that way. You're being disrespectful. But we're still in this book. That's the point. But we worship a living God, Allah. He didn't shut down with this revelation. And if he can give the Arab people a light-giving sun, he can give us a light-giving sun. That's the point. We can't live off of what they got 1,400 years ago. We can be guided, but we can't live from it. We need light, life, and heat for real to live. The presence of Minister Farrakhan is the presence of our light-giving sun. And like that sun out there in the sky, he has a power source that we don't see. Don't forget, unseen does not mean unreal. But how do you, why Farrakhan the sun? Why ain't it Jay-Z? There's no difficulty identifying the sun. You know it when you see it. You look for it every day. You know its effects on you. You don't confuse it with anything else. There's nothing else giving what it gives. There's no man giving us what Minister Louis Farrakhan is giving us, and you know it. You know it. The major characteristic of the sun is that it sustains life on this planet and the 8 other planets by providing light and heat. Light exposes what is in the darkness. We went over that. It brings forth into view what is in the darkness. It distinguishes one thing from the other. He told you last week there are 2 types of Jews. The minister doesn't teach generically. He doesn't teach in blobs. His messages are with the precision of a laser. His name, Farrakhan, that which distinguishes truth from falsehood, the discrimination. The sun frees what is in the darkness so that what is hidden in the darkness can come forth and fulfill its own divine purpose. The message he delivered last week, righteousness and unrighteousness cannot walk together. See, distinguishing, separating. The sun allows us to see the spectrum of the rainbow. That message was in fact earth-shaking, and the 3 before it, in that he made known in clear words the truth we have to have. And just like the Wicked Witch in the Wizard of Oz melted when Dorothy threw the water on her, Satan is melting right now in the light and heat of pure truth. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches in Theology of Time that Allah, the self-created God, went to war with the darkness. He got into it with the darkness. He said what came out of that dark was a warrior God. The weapon that the self-created God used to make the dark bow to his will and give up what it was hiding is the sun. You see these, what they call lava bombs that this volcano is spitting out in Hawaii, that if something touches your skin, you won't have skin. Now, imagine what the sun feels like up close. So the sun was used as a weapon. It gives life, but it's capable of killing as well. And we know this. So now the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is in power over all things by Allah's permission, and he is using his national representative as a son to make war with the beast by calling him out and making you and I see him for what he is. A black man distinguishing truth from falsehood. What we heard last week and what we hear now, it's not prophecy. This is divine commandments in the here and now. You cannot escape the sun's reach, and you don't want to if you want to live. Minister Farrakhan is not an ordinary human being, and you know that. Being in his presence is a healing. You know, your mother said, "Oh, go on outside and get some sun." The sun not only has healing in it, the sun in the sky has vitamins that you cannot get from any food. There are some vitamins you can only get if you get out there and get directly in that sun. We are melanin-dominated people, people of the sun, natural and in ownership of this planet. The sun has facets to it. It's always giving off light and life. If you've ever been in a meeting with Minister Louis Farrakhan when he's saving people, number one, he's always in teaching mode. Nothing silly, nothing foolish, nothing out of place. But when you sit with him, when was that? Last Wednesday, a week ago Wednesday, Dr. Wesley, we were in a meeting with him in the Masala downstairs with a group of us. This is Ramadan, okay? We were in that meeting about 7 hours. And he was teaching 99% of that time. And when it was done, you know who was like this? All of us. Our brains worn out. Our heart and spirit seeking to get right. When you go out in that sun, you don't wear that sun out. You can't. That sun will wear you out, though. It will wear you out. And when it's done, and when you pack up your little beach umbrella and your towels and your little pina colada, I'm going in. This is hot out here. That's how it is being with him. Getting hot in here because he sees. And you know when he's talking, it is the voice of God. And that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called him, the voice of God. We're not a cult here. We are saved people, forced to share with you how we got saved. We have to do that. We would be wrong to hide that. All praise is due to Allah. So I'm closing for real. 5 more minutes. And this is actually something of a sequel to the talk I gave last time I was here. And I want to pick up quickly where I left off because I didn't finish and I may not finish today. But anyway, so most of us were not here when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was physically present. And even those who were there, they didn't necessarily understand, I'm sure they didn't, the ultimate destiny of the young man, Louis Farrakhan, that he named as his national representative. But I want to share with you something from Brother Elijah Muhammad. Now, if you don't read Brother Jibril's articles in the Final Call newspaper, first of all, you have to get the Final Call newspaper. You should either get the hard copy or the digital or both. Now, I'm not up here just to try to advertise. I'm telling you, you're not going to get the content that you get from that paper. It's not just a newspaper. It is analysis of the events and circumstances that are surrounding you and controlling your life. And it shows you the truth through the articles of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Louis Farrakhan. Brother Elijah Muhammad's articles constantly give you the connection. They keep you aware of the connection between the light-giving sun and its unseen power source, so that we don't get caught up in the day-to-day activities. I'm talking that's in the nation too. You know, I'm in the work, I'm doing the work. Okay, but you know, you can come to the mosque and go from the mosque and come to the mosque and pay your charity and do these things, and you should do these things. But you have to wade out and wade in among our people. And you and I have to be able to explain why they should be following Minister Louis Farrakhan. They already know he's a powerful orator. They pour out in droves when he speaks. But the question is it the word dwelling on the surface, or is it penetrating? And you can't just stop with him being a powerful speaker or even with him revealing truth. You have to see the connection between him and the divine source that's powering him. You understand? So I just want to read this from Brother Jibril from the Final Call. This article was published, it was a reprint from August 22nd, 2007. Now, this is Brother Jibril. Let us ponder the following words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to his minister, which takes us deeper into the subject of this chapter, the value of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. One day in the late 60s, he said to his minister, "I did not make you, brother." Excuse me. The minister responded, "Oh, yes, you did, dear holy apostle, yes, you did." The Honorable Elijah Muhammad quieted his minister, excuse me, with a sharp retort, telling him to be quiet and listen. He repeated his statement that I did not make you, brother. He continued, I taught you like I taught the rest, but only Allah made you able to put the teachings together in the unique way that you have of putting the teachings together. Brother, Allah prepared you for me. Of course, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did participate in the making of his minister. However, he was referring to something unusually profound in the creation of this particular brother, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. He was pointing to factors about his minister that predated the minister's birth. These were factors in and about the minister which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not produce. These were factors written into the genetic makeup or coding of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan long before he or his teacher were born. His future was written into the future, those special writings of history written in advance. That is, his life and work was written into the scriptures that have come down to us from long ago. Remember, at the beginning of his mission, when Moses had not gained a grip on his task and felt unsure of himself, he asked God for a helper. His request came from his sense of inadequacy. God gave him his brother Aaron. However, God made clear to Moses that he, God, was sufficient. Nevertheless, he gave Aaron to Moses. This act did not represent a change of God's mind in giving Aaron to him. He was not giving in to Moses' limited vision at the beginning of his mission. He did not give Aaron to Moses from any weakness. He, Allah, was looking at a time in the future. He knew that his servant, now listen to this, he knew his servant would have to return to him for his next lesson. And I'll stop there and say, you remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told Minister Farrakhan, brother, I am going away to study. So during that period of time, while his servant was undergoing the next lesson, the people, that's us, would require this special helper. Extra time was required, along with an unusual display of God's power to raise these people from a wretched state of condition. In these few words, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke to his minister about God having made him. These words meant much. He knew, in terms of certain words on the pages of the Bible and the Holy Quran, in addition to what Master Farrakhan Muhammad revealed to him about his minister. He, Elijah Muhammad, recognized him, the minister. February 26, 1955, the day the minister came for the first time and came in the nation. Finally, on 3 separate occasions between 69 and 70, 1969, 1970, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke in a certain progression concerning the value of Minister Farrakhan to him. First, he said, number one, brother, you are more valuable to me than a truckload of diamonds and gold. Second time, he said, you are more valuable to me than 1,000 airplanes with 1,000 head of sheep on every plane. And on the third occasion, he said, brother, you are more valuable to me than all of the wealth in the earth, because the wealth of the earth I met when I came here, and I shall leave it when I'm gone. But through you, I will be able to get all my people. So the question is, did that declaration come to pass? Yes, it did. And here is where I pray I'm saying this correctly, because it's so important for us to understand and appreciate. Today, as we gather here, there's no question but that the work of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, 62½ years, equal to the whole life of Prophet Muhammad, 40 years in the rebuilding of the work of his teacher after it was destroyed. It is clear now he has succeeded in fulfilling that declaration. Here's the amazing thing. One more quote from the messenger. Brother, this is to Minister Farrakhan, don't worry about where you are in the scriptures. You make my great commission known, and I will represent you to the people. What is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's great commission? He has a teacher. His teacher is God in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad. And he has to make the whole world see that Allah, God, has in fact intervened in the affairs of black people in America. He has worked the miracle, what the Christians call a miracle, of those who were lost and who were deemed as dead, has brought them back to life. Well, that can't happen when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the witness bearer and executor of the work of Master Farrakhan Muhammad, is slandered and defamed, as he was after his departure in 1975. So unbeknownst to the minister at the time, when he said, you make my great commission known, and I will represent you to the people, well, he can't represent him to the people if the people have been made to throw him away. So this man, Farrakhan, became the one to save us from Allah's wrath. Because in this book, Allah kills people when they not only disobey his messenger, but when they slander and reject his messenger. And that's what black people did. We were lined up for execution. Do you understand that? One man stood up. Who will make war with the beast? I will make war with the beast. Throughout America, the Caribbean, Africa, he has worked tirelessly to uplift and uphold and shine light on his teacher's divine work and his teacher's divinity. He has restored his name. He has brought back his reputation. He is revered to the point where we open up our lectures. All praise is due to Allah for lifting up the promised Messiah, the predicted Christ. Why do we say that? Because of his weapon, his light-giving son, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So he means more to him than all the wealth in the world. And now he represents the minister to us, because now we have the table talks. Now, through Brother Jabril and others, we're pulling out the statements that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that was made about him and to him by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaks, we are in reverence. And so now his words represent Minister Farrakhan to us. That the value of Minister Farrakhan to him is immeasurable. It is because of Louis Farrakhan that we hold the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad sacred. And the voice of God, the instrument of God, a light-giving son, is proof to us that God himself has intervened in the affairs of the black man and woman, and that Allah indeed keeps his promise. May Allah bless us all with love and the light of understanding. Assalamu alaikum.
All praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Brothers and sisters, please put our hands together. Student Minister, Dr. Ava Muhammad. Let us show our love and appreciation. Student Minister, Dr. Ava Muhammad. She has taught so well and went in so hard, she done lost her voice. So if you all don't mind, I'm going to do the acceptance for her. How many of you all are here for your first, second, or third time? Raise your hand right now. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. And for those that just raised your hand, and for those that have been here, how many of you, after hearing Student Minister Ava Muhammad, you have enjoyed what you heard, you believe in what you heard, and you believe it to be the truth? Raise your hand right now. All praises are due to Allah. And those that have raised their hand, it would be an honor for her in representing the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Those that have just raised your hand, we'd like for you to come now to the center aisle so that we can shake your hand as a sign of unity, that we as a people can come together and do something for ourselves. The first thing we want you to do is keep coming and listening to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Even if you're not ready to come down that aisle, please keep coming back down that aisle to the seat every Sunday. And if you're not here, you watch it on NOI.org. But fill yourself with the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, not just every Sunday, but every day. But those that raise your hand, come on down to the center aisle right now and shake the hand of the national spokesperson of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Come on, brothers. Come on, sisters, and those that are watching from around the country, you can come down the aisle right now and shake the hand of the representative of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. All praise is due to Allah. Look at the young babies coming down that aisle. Make them to know this is home for them. We are their big brothers and big sisters. All praises are due to Allah. And those that are watching on NOI.org, you're not at the mosque or you're not at the study group, send us an email to NOI.org and give us your name, your address, phone number. Let us know that you want to join and you want to be a part of the Nation of Islam. You want to help the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, and you want to help the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praises are due to Allah. One more time, put your hands together for Student Minister Ava Muhammad. Says you have one more. All praises due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan.
Thank you, Student Minister Ava Muhammad, for once again another marvelous representation of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. I neglected in mentioning the children of our dearly departed brother Louis Farrakhan Jr. I mentioned 5, but there's 6 children. I forgot the youngest, Wakil. So please keep the family in prayers, and of course in our thoughts, and our deepest condolences go to the family. The funeral arrangements, as soon as they're finalized, we will let you know. Inshallah, it will be this week, towards the end of the week, but as soon as we have the exact day and time, we'll let everyone know, okay? Thank you again. Have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum.
Let us thank Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad. If our Ministry of Finance and the various mosques and study groups can now come forward, we're going to ask each and every one of you to please at this time help the ministry of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. The Holy Quran says that for those that desire to be righteous, and we all desire to be righteous, correct? Those who want to be righteous, give in charity. Allah has blessed each and every one of us to see his beautiful son this morning. And he's blessed us. If you could hear Minister Ava, we heard her. Many of us walked in this building or wherever you are. Allah has blessed us. Let us give back to his cause to just say thank you, Allah, that we can begin to do something for ourselves. Before we give to everything that's frivolous, there's nothing better and bigger than nation building. And as a people, we have to build something for ourselves, and it starts with our collective pooling of our resources. We need businesses, don't we? We need hospitals, don't we? We need factories, don't we? We're tired of walking in somebody else's help wanted line. We need to offer jobs for ourselves, and we can do that because we're over $1 trillion as a people. But we give it back to Nike. We give it back to Adidas. We give it back to iPhones. We give it back to them. We don't hardly give ourselves anything. But if we start pooling our resources, we make our own phones. We'll make our own cars. We'll make our own clothes. Y'all ain't looking at me like I'm crazy, are you? We taught them how to make shoes. We taught them how to make suits. We taught them how to build buildings. We built bridges for them. Can we do this for ourselves? Praise be to Allah. Let us help the Honorable Minister Farrakhan that is teaching us to do for ourselves. We have a few announcements after prayer for locals. So if everyone would please stand for prayer. Attention prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we worship, and thine aid do we seek. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray after hearing thy teachings. Ameen. May Allah bless each and every one of you. Right soon as this meeting is over with, at 1:30, the mission to feed the homeless, our ministry of feeding the homeless will be going out today, leaving the mosque parking lot at 1:30 p.m. We're asking each and every person to join us. If you are able, please donate food, toiletries, or gently used clothes. You can see Sister Carmela immediately after this meeting if you desire to join us in feeding the homeless.